memory of Grandma and Grandpa is when the morning that we were here when we had pancakes and their grandma let us have funfetti in it. My favorite memory about Grandma and Grandpa is that when we went on the lift on a mountain.
My favorite memory with Mom and Dad, Steve and Laurie, is when they helped me take 3 small children trick-or-treating in New York City. It was the busiest trick-or-treating I've ever been to.
So my favorite memory with Grandpa is him taking us to the park and sleeping in the car. And then my favorite one from Grandma is wearing bibs when we were little. I just loved it and I felt really special.
So my favorite thing about Grandpa is that he always helps us when we're doing stuff and he's always hardworking. My favorite memory with Grandma is when all the boys went on a hike and me and my cousin didn't want to go on the hike, so we stayed here with Grandma. And in the morning we all went to IHOP, and that was the first time I ever went to IHOP.
One of my favorite memories is when you woke us up and surprised us that we're going to California. Hey, we're going to Disneyland. So thanks.
One memory I have of Mom is her sprinting through the airport in, I don't know where it was, Istanbul, Vienna, somewhere, trying to catch a flight. I think it was the only time I've ever seen Mom run. It's quite the sight, and Dad was just yelling after her, "Come on, Laurie, hurry!" So that was just one episode from our many travels all around the world, and one of the more memorable times.
My favorite memory of Grandma and Grandpa, specifically Grandpa, is when he took us up to Timpanogos Cave when we were younger. It was pretty great.
Grandpa would always tell us stories when we're going hiking. He would find a rock or a log and he would call it the story log. And he would sit down and say, once upon a time, there was a grandpa and his grandkids, and they were going on a hike, and they found a story log. And then all the grandkids said to Grandpa, "Grandpa, tell us a story." And the grandpa would sit down on the story log and tell them a story. And it went like this. Once upon a time, there was a grandpa and grandkids, and you get the picture. So that was always super fun, and it's just something I'll always remember about Grandpa and probably do with my own kids and my grandkids too.
One thing that will just stick out as far as my memories of Grandma will go, this isn't the most flattering thing by any means, but we were on a flight together to Washington, D.C., and she pulls out the barf bag and just starts barfing in it. And I'm like, what's going on? Why are you barfing?
Good memory in general is camping. And something I'll always remember is have a buddy and stay away from the water.
One of the things that I really like about Mom and Dad is that they took us on a whole bunch of neat trips, different places, different times. But I particularly remember that Mom would fly to the destination and make Dad drive us. And we had more fun driving.
One time we were driving down the road and we opened the doors to the van and Joshua threatened to jump out and Grandma started swearing at him.
Wait, am I saying like one of my favorite memories? Like one of my favorite memories, or a few of them, are the trips that I took with you guys as kids, Mount Rushmore, Washington, D.C. Those were all fun, and I think of those a lot.
Something I appreciate about Mom and Dad is when we were kids, they always came to all of our stuff. Games and band competitions and plays and everything. And they do the same for their grandkids when they can. They'll go to their grandkids' shows and plays and concerts and hockey games and things like that, and I love that.
So I'd say my favorite memory with Grandma is a recent one. About a month ago we were making a quilt for me, and it just kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller because we kept messing up the measurements, but it turned out great and I'm happy with it. When they lived at the old house, and he'd always take us down to the gazebo and sing us songs for us to dance to. It's a good time.
My favorite thing about Grandpa and Grandma is that we always go camping with Grandpa every summer. Sometimes it's just the boys, and I wish that I could come sometimes. And my favorite thing about Grandma is that we always do crafts and stuff when we come over, and we get to sew with Grandma, and that's how I learned to sew, is because of Grandma.
One thing that I remember about going to Grandma and Grandpa's house is that Grandpa would always take us out bike riding and just ride around town. It would go with him. He would sometimes go in circles, so we could catch up, but we went in circles too. So that kind of annoyed him, but eventually we caught on. And that was just my favorite thing about visiting Grandma and Grandpa's, is just going on a bike ride with them.
That was really cute. But you forgot yourself.
Oops. Something that I really appreciate about Mom and Dad is that you guys taught me how to work hard and to practice hard, and I still have the teeny tiny bow that you used to smack me on the head with to get me to practice. Thanks a lot.
Play us a little ditty.